Hello everybody and welcome back to part 10 already of our character setup videos. In the video today we are going to look at adding a weapon pickup and an ammo pickup, and for this we also need to make a bunch of changes to the inventory stuff. So we have quite a lot of things to do, to be honest, so let's get started right away. First of all, we used to give all the weapons at the start of the game to the character, and we didn't set a maximum inventory size, so we are going to address that as well, and let's start with that. First, open the character info structure, and we're going to add one variable in here. Call this a weapon inventory size. Weapon inventory size, and this is an integer. I'm going to set the default value to 2, so we can carry 2 weapons. Save this and close this down. Next, I'm going to open my base character blueprint, and I'm going to add the same variable in here as well. So add a new variable, call this a weapon inventory size. That's an integer, and I'm going to place it in the player variables category, just like this. And we also need to make sure that we go to our event begin play. So look for that. And over here we set the character variables for the walk speeds and stuff like that. And we also have our inventory size here right now. So drag in a setter for that. Make sure it's connected to the chain and plug in the output. So we have our inventory size set up. We can compile, save and close this down for now. And first let's change the setup at the start of the game. So open our child blueprint. And we are going to remove all of these nodes except the first one. So delete everything. Make sure this is the add to weapon inventory and add your unarmed weapon. Put it in slot 0 and I'm going to give it 0 ammo for all of them. So like this. The next thing we need to do is make sure that all of the other slots are set to none. So we have an array of one weapon and the rest of them are empty weapon slots basically. And we are going to do that by adding a branch over here. So hold B and click. And we want to check if the size of our current inventory is smaller than what we set as our maximum inventory. So get weapon inventory names. That's the array of weapon names we have. We want to know how big this is, so drag off this and do length. That's the size of the array. If this is smaller than integer, and this time we want to get our weapon inventory size, so get weapon inventory size. I did it like this, weapon inventories. No, not that one. Get weapon inventory size, this one, and plug it into the other pin. Plug this into the condition. If this is true, we are going to add another empty weapon slot. So we're going to say set array element, drag off here and do set array element. We are going to set our weapon inventory names array. So plug that into the target array. The index is going to be our weapon inventory name length. So copy and paste this. The index of an array starts at 0, so the first index is 0, but the size of that is 1, so we can use the length to determine the next index. We are going to put in item none, so it's an empty slot is called none, and we're going to make sure we set it to size to fit, so it expands our array if it's not big enough. After this, we are going to loop back to the beginning of this branch, like this. And let me add a reroute node over here, so it looks a little bit cleaner. So this will set the rest of our inventory slots to none. And after this, we are going to simply drag off the false pin from the branch. So if all of our slots are set, we're going to say set active weapon variables. So call this function, and we're going to set them for inventory slot 0, so we start the game with the unarmed weapon. Okay, that's all we need to do in here. So let's compile and save this. And now we are going to go back to our base character blueprint. And we need to add a bunch of variables in here. So let's click the little plus sign. The first one is use button pressed. That's a boolean, and I'm going to put it at the player variables category. Next one is also a boolean, and that's going to be already has a weapon. And I'm going to create a new category for all the pickups, so that's pickup variables. So I'm going to put all the pickup variables in here. The next one is can pick up item, so duplicate this one, can pick up item. That's also a boolean, so that's fine. Duplicate this one. This is going to be the item to pick up. This is going to be an actor object reference, so look for actor and over here select the object reference type. The next one is the pickup item name. And this is a text variable, so change it to text. After that, the pickup time, and that's a float. The next one is the pickup type, and that's a string variable, so set it as a string. Next up is the weapon pickup weapon name, so pickup weapon name. That's a name variable. And now we're going to add the pickup stock. That's an integer. And the last one for now is the pickup clip. And that's an integer as well. Okay, we have the variables to work with. Let's look for an empty spot with a bit of room. And we are going to create our first custom event. So custom event. And let's call this set pickup item. For this event, we want a bunch of inputs again. So click the little plus sign for the inputs. And the first one is going to be our item to pick up. That's an actor object reference again. So look for actor and select the object reference. Next up is our pickup name. No, you have to select it to change it. Pickup name, that's a text variable. After that is the pickup type. And that's our string variable. So as you can see, these are the same ones as we added to the player variables. So let's continue with the list and add our weapon row name. That's a name variable. The next up is the ammo stock. And that's an integer. And the last one is the ammo clip. And that's also an integer. So that's fine. Now for this function, first we are going to drag in the already has weapon and the can pick up item setters. Set can pick up item to true and leave already has weapon to false. And after that, simply drag in the setters for all of these variables. So our item to pick up, our pickup name, don't do the time, continue with pickup type, pickup weapon name, pickup stock, and the clip. And just connect everything up to the output pins and to each other. Excuse me. Okay, so that's done. And that's the first function. Let's continue with the next one. Create another custom event and call this one clear pickup item. For this one, we can simply copy all of these setters, paste them over here. No. And make sure you set the can pickup item back to false. Plug this in and we should be good to go. So now everything resets back to default, like none or empty or 0. So all the stuff we put in there is gone. So we cleared our pickup item. The next thing we are going to do is add a keybind in our project settings. So let me minimize this, go to the edit project settings and go to your inputs. For the action mappings, add a new one and call this use, for example. I'm going to assign the F key on my keyboard like this, and just close this again and go back to your base character. Now first we are going to create a few functions. We need to call these functions quite soon, so if we have them in place it makes things a little bit easier. So first create a new function over here and call this pickup weapon. And give it 3 inputs. The first one is the weapon row name. That's a name variable. Next one is ammo stock. That's an integer. And the last one is the ammo clip. And that's an integer as well. Next function we are going to create is server destroy pickup. So server destroy pickup. For this we also need an input, only one this time. Call this item to pickup. And that's an actor object reference. So look for actor and select the object reference over here. And the last function we are going to create right now is pickup ammo. So add a new function again, call this pickup ammo. Again, add 3 inputs. So the weapon row name first. That's the name variable. Next up, the ammo stock. Ammo stock. That's an integer. And the ammo clip. An integer as well. And for this function, we also going to add one output. So click the output plus sign and call this item picked up. And that's a boolean. So that tells us if we pick this up or not. Okay, we are done for the functions right now. So let's compile this and go back to the event graph over here. And continue with a few custom events. So right click and create a custom event. Call this one a server pickup weapon. So SVR pickup weapon. And it's going to be replicated to run on server, and we are going to set it as reliable. From here we are going to call the pickup weapon function. So drag this one in. Oh. And simply drop in the variables from the pickup variables. So the weapon row name is our pickup weapon name, the pickup stock and the pickup clip. And just plug them into the input pins. And after that we are going to call server destroy pickup. So the server destroy pickup function. Call this one, and again from the pickup variables drop in the item to pick up, just like this. Next function, custom event. So right click and create a custom event and call this one server destroy pickup. So SVR destroy pickup. Again, this is run on server and set to be reliable. And for this one, we are simply going to call server destroy pickup. So that's the function over here. Drag it in and get the item to pick up as well. and make sure you plug that in. So if you noticed, I have a serve and destroy pickup as a SVR and fully written. So the fully written ones are the functions and SVR is an event. I used to do that previously in other videos. If you pay attention to stuff like that, it makes it easier for yourself. Just make clear separations between things like that. So that's set up. Next, look for a bit of empty room, and we are going to add our use event. So look for event use. That's the input we just entered. For this, the release is going to be very simple. We're just going to drag in a setter for use button pressed and make sure you set it to false. And for the pressed, it's a little bit longer. So we're going to set the use button pressed as well. So copy and paste it. Make sure you set this to true. Next, we are going to set our pickup time. So drop it in from the weapon variables, pickup time, and I'm going to set it to half a second, so 0.5. So I have to keep pressing the button for half a second before I actually pick something up. Next up, we are going to add a branch. And we want to know if we can pick up an item, if we have our use button pressed, and if our pickup time is greater than 0. So drag in can pick up item, use button pressed, and drag in your current pickup time. For the pickup time, drag off and do greater than float. Make sure it's greater than 0. Add an end boolean. Add one pin over here and connect everything up. Plug it into the condition, and if this is true, we are going to set our pickup time to our current pickup time minus 0.05, so minus float and fill in 0.05. This is our new pickup time connected to the true pin. Wait for 0.05 seconds, so add a delay 0.05 and connect this back up to the beginning of the branch, just like this. So as soon as our time reaches 0, or if we release our button, or if we are outside of the pickup trigger, which sets this boolean back to false, we are going to drop out of this loop, and we want to know if we need to pick up the item or not. So add another branch and connect it to the false pin. Get your current pickup time and check if this is greater than float. If it's greater than 0, connect it to the condition. So if the pickup time is still greater than 0, that means we did not pick up the item because, for example, we released the button before we reached 0. So we're going to set our use button pressed back to false. And that's basically all we need to do. Just add a comment, did not pick up item, like this. And that branch is done. Now, if we did pick up the item, we want to know what kind of pickup it was. So add another branch and plug it into the false, like this. If our pickup type is weapon, so drag off here and do equal string and simply type weapon over here. Make sure that's our condition and copy this, paste it a little bit down below here and check if our pickup type is ammo. And connect that one to the false pin of the previous branch, just like this. So if the first one is true, we are dealing with a weapon pickup. If the second one is true, we are dealing with an ammo pickup. Let me continue with the weapon pickup first. So we need to check if we actually have the weapon already. Because if we have, we don't want to add another one to our inventory. So the first thing we are going to do is drag off here and look for a for each loop with break. For each loop with break, this one. We want to check our weapon inventory names. So look for the weapon variables, the weapon inventory names array, and drop that right on top of here. For the loop body, add a branch. And we want to know if our array element is equal. So do equal name. And if this one is equal to our pickup weapon name, so that's in our pickup variables, and that's the weapon we are about to pick up. So drag it right on top of here, just like this. So if this is true, we can set our already has weapon boolean to true, drag it right on top of here, make sure it's true, and after that we are going to connect this back up to the break pin of the for each loop, because we know what we want to know, and we are going to break out of our loop and continue with the rest of our script. So make sure you connect it back up to the break pin over here, and after that the execution continues from the completed pin. So go from the completed pin and add another branch. Excuse me. For this branch we want to know if we already have the weapon. So we checked for that over here, and if this returned false for all of them, nothing changed, and it's going to be false over here. So if we already have the weapon, we want to call the pickup ammo event. So let's do that first. Come on. From the true pin, drag off and call pickup ammo. And simply plug in the pickup variables from here. So the pickup weapon name, the pickup stock, and the pickup clip. And plug them in the inputs. After that, we are adding another branch to check if we actually picked it up. Maybe the weapon we had was already full and we can't pick up the ammo anyway. So this returns if we picked it up. And after this we are going to check if we have authority. So from the true pin has authority. If we are the server, we are going to call our server destroy pickup function. So drag off here and type server destroy pickup. And if we are the client, we are going to call our server destroy pickup event. So that's the SVR destroy pickup. And call this one. Make sure you plug in the item to pick up into the server destroy pickup one over here. And after this, we can simply call our clear pickup item event for both of them. So make sure you connect them up both to the clear pickup item. Now copy this one and go back to the false pin over here. So if we didn't pick up the pickup, we don't want to delete it from the map, but we still want to clear it from the player's variables. So we're just going to connect it to the false pin like this. Now go back a little bit over here where we have the branch for the ammo pickup. So weapon type is ammo, pickup type is ammo. You want to connect the true pin up to this pickup ammo as well. So that's the same logic that works. And now we are going to continue from this branch and give the new weapon to the player if this returns false. So over here we are going to say pickup weapon. And for that we need the function we created, so pickup weapon. And we can plug in the same variables as we did here. So copy and paste them. The name, the stock, and the clip. And after that we are going to check if we have authority again. So has authority. And for the server we are going to call server destroy pickup function. So server destroy pickup. And for the client, call the server pickup weapon event. So look for SVR pickup weapon event, this one. Item to pick up. Make sure you plug in the variable. No. And after these ones, simply clear the pickup item again. So copy and paste it, and make sure you connect both of these up to the clear pickup item. And that should be good to go. Let me double check real quickly. Yes, I think that should work. Okay, those are the pickup events on our event graph for now. Excuse me. First, let's do the functions we created. So scroll all the way up over here, go to your pickup weapon function. Let's compile everything so our variables and stuff like that are updated. And let's start over here by adding a local variable. So scroll all the way down over here, local variables, and add one. Call this put in slot. Put in slot. That's an integer, so that's okay. Make sure you set the default value to -1. So I'm going to use the minus to tell me I don't have a valid slot to put this in, and as soon as this is equal or above 0, the slot is valid. So make sure you enter -1 or it won't work. Next, we are going to check if we have an empty weapon slot or not. So drag over here and do for each loop with break. For each loop with break. Again, we are going to check our weapon inventory names. So look for the array of weapon inventory names. Add a branch over here, connect it to the loop body, and we want to know if our array element is equal to, so do equal to name, if it's equal to none, because an empty weapon slot is stored as none. If this is true, we are going to set our local variable, the put in slot, connect it to the true pin, and make sure you plug in the array index as the new value for this, just like this. And after we did that, we are going to connect it to the break pin of the loop. So go back, break the loop, because we have all the information we need. And we are going to continue from the completed pin by adding a branch. So completed, add a branch, and check if our put in slot variable is greater than or equal to 0. Drag off here, greater than or equal to 0. Plug it into the condition. So if this is true, we found an empty slot over here. We set it to a new value, and over here we can check that we did actually find something. So we are going to copy everything and paste it a little bit down below here. Connect the false pin to this new for each loop, and this time we are going to check for an unarmed slot. So if we don't have any empty weapon slots, maybe we have one with an unarmed weapon, and we are going to replace that one. So the rest of this still works. Just make sure you put unarmed in here. So that's the value you put in the weapon info table for the weapon name, unarmed. If this returns false as well, we are simply going to put the weapon in our active weapon slot. So drag in a setter for the put in slot, connect it up to the false pin, and for the weapon variables, get your active weapon slot and plug it in like this. Let me scroll down in my notes a little bit. So now we can actually add the weapon to this slot. So drag off here and do add to weapon inventory. And first thing, make sure you connect up the other branches as well. So over here, if we did find a slot to put it in, make sure you connect this up to the add weapon inventory. And if we found a slot over here, make sure you connect it up as well. Just like this. So from the first branch where we're checking put in slot is greater than or equal to, connect it to the add to weapon inventory. And the second one where we're checking the same thing, again the true goes to the add to weapon inventory, the false sets the put in slot, and after that goes to the weapon inventory as well. Now for the weapon row name and stuff like that, we can drag in our variables. So over here, the pickup weapon name goes to the weapon row name. Inventory slot is going to be our put in slot variable. And for this, let's not get the variables, but let's drag back to the input node. So the weapon row name, we are going to get it over here. the weapon row name from the start node, and the ammo stock and the ammo clip as well. So connect them up like this. The start node all the way over here, and for the inventory slot use the pickup slot or put in slot. After this we are going to say our active weapon slot is our new put in slot, so hold a setter for the active weapon slot and simply drop in our current put in slot variable value on top of here. Next we are going to call our set active weapon variables function, set active weapon variables, and we are going to set them for the active weapon slot, so we can just plug it in like this. And the last thing we need to do after this is update our anims, so update anim set to check if we need to update our pose as well. So this should do it for our pickup weapon function. Yes, this should work, I hope. So the next one, our server destroy pickup. This is going to be much easier. Just drag off this one and do is valid. We want to know if our item to pick up is valid, and if it's valid we are going to destroy it, so look for destroy actor and plug it into the is valid pin, just like this. And that's everything we need to do in here. Now the last function is our pickup ammo function. Let's open up this one. Just like this, create a bunch of room over here. Now first I'm going to add a few variables, local variables in here. I'm adding a few more than I should actually need because I want to keep this a little bit organized. It's going to be really spaghetti, so I just added a few variables extra to get rid of a bunch of extra lines. So I don't really need all of them, but it makes it look a little bit cleaner. First local variable is our has weapon. That's a boolean. Next, all of them are going to be integers. The first one is our slot to add ammo. Slot to add ammo. Set it to an integer. Next up, clip correction. The next one is our add ammo stock. The next one is add ammo clip. Another one called maximum stock, so max stock. And the last one, max clip, just like this. Now for the function itself, we're going to start by getting our data table row, so get data table row. For the data table, select the weapon info table, plug in the weapon row name from the input pin, like this. Out row, break the result, and we have our weapon variables ready to go over here. Now I'm going to add a tiny little extra trick for myself to make things easier. If I set my add ammo stock or add ammo clip to -1, I wanted to add maximum ammo. So when I'm placing pickups in my map, I don't need to know the maximum values from the top of my head. I can simply enter -1 and it will give me the maximum value for that weapon. So you don't really need this, but it's just a little bit easier along the way. So first I'm going to add a branch for this, connect it to the row found one, and I want to check if my ammo stock from the inputs is equal to, so equal integer, equal to -1. Plug it into the condition. If that's true, I want to say my add ammo stock is the same as my maximum ammo stock, so connect the setter to the true pin and get the maximum ammo stock from the out results over here. Now after this, add another branch and do the same thing for the ammo clip value, so go back over here, drag it right on top of here, is equal to -1, plug it into the condition, and if that's true, I want to set my add ammo clip to my maximum ammo clip from the out results over here. Make sure you connect the false pin from this branch and the setter also to this branch. And after that, we are going to set our maximum ammo stock and maximum ammo clip variables, and also connect this false pin to the setter and the add ammo clip setter to the max ammo stock setter, and connect these up as well. Plug in the maximum values from the out results, and that's good to go. So we just stored a few variables to make things easier along the way. Now the first thing we need to do is check if we have the weapon we want to add ammo to. So we need a for each loop with break again. Drag off the last setter here. Look for a for each loop with break. This one. We are checking our weapon inventory names again, so look for that one and drop it on the array. Add a branch over here, connect it to the loop body, and we want to know if the array element is equal to our weapon row name that's in our start node. So drag this all the way back to the node over here, our weapon row name, and plug it in. So if this is equal, we are going to set our local variable, the has weapon, to true. Connect it to the true pin. Make sure you set this to true. And we are also, let me check. Array element. We also want to set our slot to add ammo. So let's do that first. So slot to add ammo, drag in a setter, connect this one to the true pin, and make sure you plug in the array index into the slot to add ammo. After that, connect it back up to the has weapon true node, just like this. And from here, connect it back up to the break pin from the for each loop, because we have the information we need. Let's make this look a little bit cleaner. Like this. And now we are going to continue from the completed pin over here, and we want to know if we have the weapon or not. So add another branch and check the has weapon, if it has been set to true or not. If this is false, we are simply going to return. So let's get this return node over here, connect it up to the false pin, and we say item picked up is false. We did not pick up the item, did not pick up item, and we are done over here. From the true pin, we are going to continue, and the first thing we need to know if we are going to max out our clip value. So add another branch over here, connect it to the true pin, because at this point we know that we are going to add ammo. So let's get into the logic of actually adding the ammo. First, the CW ammo clip, drag in a getter for this array, drag off here and do get a copy. We want to know what's in the slot we are going to add ammo to, so drag that in as well. From here, drag off and do integer plus integer. Drag in the add ammo clip, so the ammo we are about to add, and we want to know if this result is greater than or equal to our maximum clip. Drop it right on top of here. And that's the condition for our first branch over here, so plug it in. Now, if this is true, we are going to need to add a clip correction value. Let me explain. If I have a maximum clip value of 25 and I fired 5 bullets already, for example, so my current value is 20, but over here I tell to add 10 bullets to the clip. Now in this case I can only add 5 and my clip is full, so I'm going to store the other 5 bullets in my clip correction variable and add them to the ammo stock later on, so the bullets don't get lost. So that's basically what I'm doing over here. So for the true pin, let's drag off here and we are going to set our clip correction. and we are going to set it to our current weapon ammo clip plus the amount of ammo we are adding. So that's what we already did over here. Current weapon ammo clip for the slot we are about to add ammo plus the amount of ammo we are adding. So copy all of this stuff and paste it over here. From this we want to say minus our maximum clip. So drag off here and do integer minus integer. And on this one drop your maximum clip. And that's going to be the value for our clip correction. So simply plug it into the setter over here. After this we are going to set the new ammo for our clip. So drag off here and do set array element. We are going to set it for our current weapon in the slot to add ammo. So copy these two nodes and paste them. Plug the array and plug the slot to add ammo in the index. And we are going to fill it to our maximum clip. So simply copy and plug that into the item. The next thing we need to do is set our add ammo stock variable. So drag in a setter for this one and connect it up. And we are going to set it to the current add ammo stock plus our clip correction. So integer plus integer. And over here plug in the clip correction we just calculated. And that's the new variable we are going to add to our ammo stock. I'm sorry. Now from here we are going to continue a little bit later, but first I'm going to go back over here to this false branch and I'm going to do that one. So that means we are not filling the clip up to the maximum, but we're simply adding our add ammo clip value. So for this we can do all of this stuff except the maximum clip node, copy it and paste it over here, connect it to the false pin of this branch, and we are going to set it to our current weapon ammo clip for the slot to add ammo, plus the amount of ammo we are going to add in our clip. So just copy this stuff, copy and paste it into the item, plug it into the item, and that's good to go as well. Now we are going to go and continue with a new branch. So over here, create a branch and connect both of the branches we had over here. So both the execution pins from the setter and from the array element. And for this branch, we want to know if we are maxing out our stock as well. So first we need to get our CW ammo stock. We want to know what's in our slot to add ammo, so get a copy and drop in our slot to add ammo over here. We are going to add, so integer plus integer, and we are adding our add ammo stock. Drag it right on top of here. If the result of this is greater than or equal to our maximum stock, and that's our branch condition over here. So if this is true, we are going to set our stock to max. So get our set array element from the true node. No. Set array element. And we are going to set this, the CW ammo stock for the slot to add ammo. Plug it in the index, and we are going to set it to our maximum stock, and we are plugging that into the item like this. After that, add a return node. So drag off here and type return, add return node, and make sure you set item picked up to true like this. From the false pin over here, we can do basically the same thing, except we are not going to set it to our max stock. So copy everything except that node, connect this one to the false pin over here, and we are going to set it to our current ammo stock plus our add ammo stock. So simply copy these bunch, CW ammo stock, slot to add ammo, and the little plus node over here, and plug this into the item. Make sure you plug this one into the return node as well, so it returns true for both of them. like this. And I think we are done over here. So as you can see, it's a little bit of spaghetti already. So that's why I added a few of these variables like the maximum clip ones and stuff. You could have gone back and dragged them all from the out results over here, but it would get really messy. So that's why I added a few I don't really need. So compile and save this. And at this point, we are going to go to our can switch weapon function. What we used to do in here is check if we had ammo in our weapon, and if we didn't have any ammo, we weren't able to switch to this weapon. We don't want that anymore because we want to select an empty weapon if we want to switch to it maybe. So delete everything except one branch. And what we are going to do is checking if our weapon inventory names, drag over here and do get a copy. We want to know it for the new weapon slot. If this is equal to none, just like this, plug this into the condition and get the return nodes over here. So if our current weapon slot is none, we are not able to switch to the weapon, so set this to false. And if the current weapon slot is not none, we are able to switch to it, so set true. True pin, make sure it returns false. False pin, make sure it returns true. Okay, that should work for the new can switch weapon function. Now let's add a few quick hints to the player HUD so you can see what you are about to pick up. So go to the UI folder, player HUD. Over here in the top left, select the text and drop it right on top of the canvas panel. Scroll down and select it. I'm going to call this item name, for example. Anchor it to the center of the screen. Let's put it in 00 for now. I'm going to make it a green text so it stands out a little bit more. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, font size 16, and set the justification to center so it's aligned to the center. Now let me expand this box a little bit, make it 140 maybe, set the alignment to -70 so it's nicely centered. Pull it up a little bit, -190 maybe. Let's make it -200, why not? And that should be good to go. Now for this I want to go to the content text section, to the bind button over here. Go to the owning player and bind it to the pickup item name, like this. Next we are going to scroll down to the behavior over here, and for the visibility set default to hidden. And go for the binding, create a new binding. Now let's call this something like pickup hint visibility. Pickup hint visibility. That's a little bit of a mess, but whatever. And I'm going to add one branch over here, plug it in, get my owning player. And for this, I want to know if I can pick up item. So get can pick up item. Plug this into my condition. If this is true, I want the hint to be visible. I copy and paste the node. And if it's false, I want it to be hidden. And that should do it for the visibility. Okay, I'm going to change this. Visibility, just like this. Go back to your designer and let's add another text widget. So drag in another text widget, drop it on top of your canvas panel. Select this one as well. I'm going to put in a text over here. Press use to pick up. Let's set the font size to 16 again. Let's set the justification to center again. Anchor it to the center of your screen and make sure it's in the correct position. So expand the box a little bit. Okay, let's make it 210, so that makes this one -105. Let's pull it up a little bit, -175 maybe. that should do it. And for this one, let's scroll down to the behavior as well. Visibility, set it to hidden. And now if you first compile this, then you can select the binding we created previously. So compile your graph, select the new text again, and in the bind here, the pickup hint visibility, select this one. And now let's add a little visual effect as well. Go to the primitives and add a circular throbber and drop it right on top of the canvas panel as well. Select it over here, and I'm going to make it 25 by 25. Anchor it to the center, minus 12.5, and let's say something like minus 150, minus 140. Set the period to 0.5, so it takes half a second to make a full rotation. And now go to the behavior over here and set it to hidden. And for this one, create a new binding. So create binding. I'm going to call this throbber visibility. And I'm going to add another branch in here. So disconnect, add a branch, get your owning player, and you want to know if you can pickup item, and also get use button pressed. You want both of these to be true, so connect them up to an AND Boolean node and plug this into the condition. If this is true, we want it to be visible, and if it's false, we want it to be hidden. And connect it up to the false pin, and that's good to go. Now go back to the designer once more, and for the ammo value, I'm going to hide this if I'm wielding my unarmed weapon. So select the ammo value and go to the behavior again. Create a new binding for this, so create binding, and let's call this like ammo values visibility. And again, add a branch in here. And for this branch, I want to get my owning player. From here, I want to get enum set. And I want to know if my enum set is equal, so equal enum to my unarmed. Plug this into the condition. If it's true, I want to hide my ammo count. And if it's false, I want to show my ammo count. So connect the visible to the false pin and the hidden to the true pin, and you should be good to go. Let's compile this and save it as well. Now I think the only thing we have left to do is create the actual pickup. So let's close this down and create a new folder for this. Call this pickups. I'm going to create a new folder in here as well and call this weapons. Maybe I want to add other pickups later, so why not? And in here, create a new blueprint class, and I'm going to pick the actor class. Call this weapon pickup base, for example. Underscore base, just like this, and open this one up. Now, first I'm going to add a scene component over here. So look for add component scene. And I'm going to replace it with the default root, so that's my new default root. Now add another component and look for the, let me double check, look for a static mesh. So we're going to add a static mesh component, and after that select the scene one and add another component, look for the sphere collision and add that as well. I'm going to name that sphere trigger, because I'm going to use it as a trigger. So for the mesh, you can set something if you like as a default value. I don't really have any weapon meshes, so I'm just going to use something to tell me there's a pickup over here. That's all it does. The trigger, I'm going to increase the size a little bit, just like this. And I also want to go to the class defaults over here and make sure I enable replication. So replicates, yes, set it to true. Now the next thing we need to do is create a few variables in here. So variables, create a new variable. The first one, pickup name, and that's a text variable. The next one is our pickup type. That's a string variable. Another one, the weapon row name. That's a name variable. Another one, that's the ammo stock. That's an integer. And the ammo clip, and that's an integer as well. And the last one for now is our pickup mesh. And that's going to be a static mesh object reference. So look for static mesh. And over here select the object reference, static mesh object reference. Now for the last four we created, we want to set instance editable to true. So we can click the little eye symbol over here, or we can click the little flag over here. That's the same result. Do that for the last four we added, the row name, stock clip, and the mesh. And we also wanted to set a default value, so compile this and select the pickup type. And for the pickup type, we're going to name this weapon. Now let's go to the event graph. And for the event begin play, we want to add a few things. So drag off here and type set static mesh. Static mesh. And you want to get the function set static mesh. Over here, plug in your pickup mesh, just like this. And the next thing we need to do is get our data table row. So get data table row. Get the weapon info table, so select it over here. And for the row name, we are going to plug in our weapon row name variable, just like this. Now break our result, so drag off here, break result. Excuse me. And for this we want to get a setter for the pickup name, so drag a setter in over here, connect it to the row found, and plug in your display name into the pickup name. So the display name of the weapon is now the name of our pickup. Next thing, I'm going to add the same trick with the ammo stock and the ammo clip again. So if I set these to -1, it will simply turn them into the maximum values. So add a branch over here, plug it into the setter. I want to know if my ammo stock, so drag this in, is equal to -1, like this. Plug it into the condition, and if this is true, I want to set my ammo stock to the maximum ammo stock from the outputs over here. Plug it into the true. And if it's false, I don't need to do anything. I'm going to keep the value that's already here. Do the same thing for the clip. So another branch, connect the false pin to the branch and connect the setter to the branch as well. For this one, check if our ammo clip is equal to -1. Plug this into our condition again. And if this is true, we are going to set our ammo clip to the maximum ammo clip from the out result. And that should be good to go. Now we need to go to our sphere trigger over here. If we scroll down in the details panel, we can add some events for begin overlap and end overlap. We want to add both of them. So add the actor begin overlap and the component end overlap. First, let's start with the component begin overlap. We want to know if it was the player or not, so drag off the other actor and do cast to base character. If it was the player, it will return successful, and then we want to call our set pickup item. So as the base character, drag off here and do set pickup item. The item to pick up is going to be this blueprint, so get a reference to self and plug it into the item to pick up. And for the pickup name and all the other stuff, we are going to plug in the variables over here. So drag them in. And connect them up to the function call or event call. and that should be good to go. And now for the component and overlap. So go over here. Again, we want to know if it was the player or not. So cast to base character. And if it's true, from the base character, call the clear pickup item. And that should be good to go as well. Okay, I think we have everything set up right now. So compile and save this. One small thing we are going to do, select the weapon pickup base, duplicate it, Ctrl W, and rename it ammo pickup base. Open this one up. Now you can change the mesh if you want, so you can see it's a different pickup. So let's do that quickly. Let's turn it into something like this. Oh, why not? Beautiful. Now for the pickup type, you want to change the default value to ammo. And go to the event graph, and over here for the set pickup name, disconnect this. Click in an empty spot and look for the format text node. And in this little box over here, you want to type open curly brace A close curly brace space ammo. Plug the result in the pickup name, and for the A pin you can plug in the display name. So now it will say the name of the weapon with the text ammo behind it. And I think we should be good to go over here. So compile and save this. And let's put a few of them in our map. So open the map. And the ammo pickup base. And the weapon pickup base. Now, because I made a few variables instance editable, you can edit them in the details panel over here, and they will only affect this particular blueprint, so you won't mess with any of the others, and you can simply make different pickups. So the first one I'm going to add is Murdoch secondary, which is our spread shot pistol. So secondary. The ammo stock, let's put 12 rounds in the stock and 6 in the clip when we pick it up, and set the mesh to our hollow mesh so we can see there's a pickup over here. Now let's duplicate this one and instead give our Murdoch rifle, and let's just say like 30 in stock and a full clip, so -1. And let's put in a third weapon as well. Let's place the Murdoch Shotty over here. And let's give no ammo in stock. And let's give only 4 rounds in the clip. Just like this. Now for the ammo pickup. Add one for the same weapons. So the Murdoch secondary. And I want to add a full stock, and I want to add a full clip for this one. And let's set a mesh so we can see something like this. Copy it and make one for the Murdoch rifle. For this I just want to add 20 rounds to the stock and 10 rounds to the clip. And let's create a last one and call this Murdoch Shotty. And I want to add a full clip and 20 rounds. Why not? That should do. Okay, I think we have something to test, and I hope this works. So save everything and let's check it out. So as you can see, with my unarmed weapon there's no ammo counts anymore, so at least that's working. We have the pickups, AR ammo, SPAS ammo, spread shot ammo with the hints on screen, so it looks like that's working. Let's pick him up. The SPAS 12, that's working, and I can still switch between my weapons. I got my unarmed weapon and I got my SPAS 12. Now with my SPAS 12 selected, I'm going to pick up my spread shot. As you can see, it replaced my unarmed slot, and I still got my SPAS 12 and I got my spread shot. and that's the two weapons I have now. So let me see if I can pick up ammo. So the AR ammo, I don't have this weapon, so I should not be able to pick this up. And I'm not. It's still here, and nothing happens if I try to pick it up. Now let's pick up some ammo for the spares. And it picks it up, but it doesn't actually add the ammo. That's great. Damn it. Okay. Let's see what happens if I try to pick up a third weapon. It simply replaces my current weapon, and I still only have two weapons, so that's working as well. So it looks like only adding ammo doesn't work. Let me check this out.